we're going to get into the Tigers later because I don't want to completely dismiss the Tigers. What helped the Tigers out immensely was the way that they finished the first half of the season. I don't need to tell you that, but here I am telling you that. Let's remember, they're still under 500. They're still 7 games back of the wild card. There are still a lot of issues with this team. And what we do around here is we drop our expectations. And I just want to caution people. I'm not saying it can't happen because there's a lot to like about this team and certainly what we saw down the stretch. But honest to goodness, right now, you just be honest with yourself. And I'm going to ask these guys this question right now. We'll get into the Tigers in mass later. Like, honestly, how realistic are you that this is, well, realistic? Like, Anson, seriously, are you sitting back going, yeah, man, I think we got it. I think we got a run in us.
Absolutely not. I didn't have faith in this team to be a playoff team this season. I still think that there's a lot of holes in the lineup. So the fact that they've played so well in the first half, let's face it, the last few years, this team has been a good second half team, but it's the hole that they put themselves in the first half that they were unable to escape. Now, what I read was if they play one game under 500 in the second half, they match last year's record. My issue is that that's just the same. It's, you're status quo. So when you talk about adding 3 guys for one guy that plays every 5 days and you can get 15 games at that point, that is where we are. And I know people love Tarek Skubal. I know we can look at trades like Chris Sale and others that are the benchmark for this that mostly didn't turn out well for those teams. But the Pistons, let's try number 3. The Tigers.
Thought he was about to say the Red
Friday.
Wings.
The Tigers, they are just too far away for me to try and grasp onto this thing. They should be making as many moves as they can, creating as many bidding battles as they can, and truly building the foundation. They've got some good kids down low right now. They need some more. I never believed in this team. I'm honestly surprised at how good Skubal has been. But what we've seen is one of the worst droughts offensively in baseball we've ever seen. Baseball will probably make some adjustments to try and get batting back up. And there's just so few pitchers that you see dominate for 6, 8, 10 years. Jackson Holliday is too much to pass up for me, So I don't think that this team is ready to make a play for the playoffs. They need to make a play for the future.
I would disagree with that.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Here's what I'll say is all these guys that are under contract right now are all young guys, right? So, and you're trading them for more prospects that may or may not pan out. And again, it's like you got these guys on, lower guaranteed deals, so on rookie contracts still before they hit free agency. Tarek Skubal is a guy you can build around and a guy that can last. You look at the guys who have left Detroit, they've had a lot of success. If you look at Rick Porcello, you look at Anibal Sanchez, you look at that whole, at 2013 kind of era team.
Scherzer,
Verlander. So I don't think it's time. I don't think I would be buying, but I don't think I'd also be selling either, especially your core foundational pieces. And I think Jack Flaherty can be another good solid piece in that starting rotation.
I would say to add to that, I would say can't be stagnant and not be sellers nor buyers. You have to do one or the other. And I would prefer the Tigers to be buyers because I started watching basically near the end of June, start of July. That's when I started watching the Tigers more consistently, watching every game fully through. And I text Justin. I'm like,
good timing, though.
Yeah, no, I was
good timing because they've been hitting.
No, that's what I was going to tell him. I was like, the Tigers, looking at them, I was like, they aren't bad. They just inconsistent. So I'm like, are they bad? But they're bad because they're inconsistency. So I'm like, once the team, these young pieces get together and just start being more consistent, I'm like, I feel our team, especially with the pitching, we could compete right there with anybody. I think I saw a stat that it was when the Tigers scored 2 runs, we're 41 and 29, or it was 46 and 29, something like that. We're way above 500 when our bats just hit more than 2 runs in. So it's if the Tigers can be a little bit more consistent, I can easily see us being a playoff team, even winning a series. So
I'm gonna get your back a little bit, Anson, because I'm gonna tell you what I think. The word prospect has been so bastardized, okay? You mentioned a name. Holiday isn't a prospect. No. Wait, he's major league ready. He Absolutely. Is. He's major. He's not going to be. I know he struggled when he got caught up. He's major league ready.
Alan W. said the exact same thing in the chat just now.
Yeah, I mean, and so the problem that so many of us have, and Alan W., you're probably like me. I don't want to hear names like Kristen Stewart. I don't want to hear names like Bo Burrows. I don't want to hear names like Daz Cameron. I don't want to hear all these names that really took on a mythical proportion because it was, well, he's 2 years away, 3 years away. If you're going to trade one of the rare knowns that we have, you're going to load that swear jar. You're going to load that thing up. And it isn't going to be these guys. It isn't going to be the Justin Verlander deal. It isn't going to be the JD Martinez deal. It is going to be guys that I can look at that cat right now and go, yeah, he might not be able to play in Baltimore, okay? But he can join our lineup right stinking now. Yeah. Not these long-term prospects because you know what? It hasn't worked. So I think prospect can be defined two ways. Those wait till you see this guy 2 or 3 years from now. I want nothing to do with that. It hasn't worked here. I don't know anybody. But a guy like that, everybody and his brother knows he's this close.
They could call up Holiday and Basallo the day that they did that deal. There's a bunch of names that are being bandied about in that deal. All very young. Not like, low A, high A young, but those two, if they were able to get Basallo and Holiday in that deal, I would be absolutely on board. We'd get a couple extra pieces that would probably be a little further down the line. But my thing, I know pitching's crucial, especially in a low offense year. But you get 15 games out of 3 prospects or 3 ready-to-play players, or even just 10 if we're talking those 2 guys versus 1 every 5 days. So what those guys can do for your offense, which is really what we've struggled with, and yes, we've had a really strong 3-4 weeks of hitting. I just love what those guys can do for you long range.
They've teased us so long that there are a lot of people out there like me. I know all these gosh damn magical names, right, of these can't miss prospects. And almost every one of them missed.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it be guys coming over in trades, wait till you see this guy's stuff, and I think because of that, a lot of us are jaded. And I will say this until my dying breath. The amount of disrespect thrown to Dave Dombrowski's name around here drives me out of my mind. I mean, it's not like he left here and had any success elsewhere, and everybody wanted to blame Dave Dombrowski for what ailed the Tiger system. Well,
same people who pushed out Jim Leyland.
Well, and here's the problem. You know what ailed the Detroit Tiger system? Dave Dombrowski was smart to trade a vast majority of players who never, ever, ever turned into what they thought they were going to be. Yeah. Whether it be Cameron Maben, whether it be Humberto Sanchez, the one that Doug Fister. We can't let go of Casper Wells. How about when we brought in Anibal Sanchez? Right?
Yeah.
Jacob Turner, he's going to win 71 Cy Youngs, right? And look, Jacob Turner didn't turn into anything. Rob Brantley didn't turn into anything. So I think because of that, well, yeah, that's part of why the Tigers system was crap. Because guess what? He brought in knowns for those things. And I'm a guy, give me a known over a complete unknown. But that's why I got your back. A guy like Holiday's different. Everybody knows. It's not like give him 2 or 3 years. No, he's that close. He's that close.
Yeah. If you get Holiday and Basallo and they give you Kobe Mayo, I don't know how you don't do this. I'm a huge prospects guy in, dynasty baseball, should I say. I'm not 100% that Mayo's a can't miss. I am pretty much on Basallo. I know that Holiday is ready to play. Those 3 guys could literally all get called up within the first month of them being added to this roster. I don't know how familiar you two are. I know you guys are on the other side of it. If you got Holiday, Basallo, and Mayo, where are you going with Tarek, Mr. Luca?
I'd say I'm still not trading because you're basically punting this season away. And then I bring up, we got a guy, Spencer Torkelson, first overall pick in the draft. We all thought after a 30 home run season, he's going to come back and have an even better season. And look, I'll give you, I think Holiday is really close, but you just don't know. And I think pitching, as you said, is really hard to come by. And if you're trying to win in October, you got to have a guy that you can count on, to keep you in games. And Tarek Skubal is that guy, especially since I think the Tigers' offense is to the point where it's no longer abysmal or bad. It's just streaky. And I think that's kind of where teams are. But again, we saw the Diamondbacks, last year be under 500 and go all the way to the World Series. So I think that's something to consider as well.
I'm going to say this, though. Like, you use the term mail in the season, and I know that that's the last thing that people want to do around here. We've had enough of it, right? And I used this term about the Lions back in 2021, okay? The last thing in the world a Lion and a Tiger fan wants to hear is the P word, patience. That's the last thing in the world. I get it. I've been there. I mean, I had season tickets at that place for 13 years, man. I miss those days, it's October. Well, cool. I'm going to be at Comerica Park 2-3 times this week, okay? But if this team makes the playoffs this year, is that a legitimate thing? Is that a long-term thing? I don't know about that. You know what I mean? And what if they have a typical Tiger season and they oh, golly gee, we had 75 wins. And there are some people around here that want to do backflips about that, okay? And the reason why I bring up the Lions is this. Nobody wanted to hear, going back to 2021, that they were going to suck. Nobody wanted to hear it. Okay, that was the reality of it, man. They were going to suck, and they were going to suck hard. And I'm glad that they sucked hard. I mean, seriously, I'm glad that they sucked hard because guess what? You know what that does? Oh, by the way, hey, listen, the Rams kind of suck too. Wow, who knew? Stafford went out. Oh, this is great. So we're going to get 2 good picks? That's great for us. And now the key is you have to have the guy that makes it count. And Brad Holmes is the guy. We all know that. So with that being said, I mean, I get what you're saying. It would be great to have. I mean, it's been almost 10 years. It's been almost 10 years since we sat there on that park. I think I brought this up. It was the exact same moment when the Tigers were losing to the Orioles that the Bills kicked a field goal to beat the Lions, and Jim Schwartz told his players to put them on his shoulders. I mean, it was like one of the most dastardly gray October days. All these people are walking on a Ford Field like this. All these people are walking out of Comerica Park like that. And you know the reality? You knew it was over. That was the worst part for me. Like that run from 2006, in particular from 11 to 14, you just knew it was over, and that sucked. 10 years later, like, we're not close. We aren't. So I get it. Nobody wants to talk about patience, but we have to.
Can I add a little spice into the argument here? Terry Foster brought up what I thought was an interesting point earlier today on Big D Energy, which you can hear 11-1 here on Woodward Sports.
Isn't he a pro? Listen,
there you go.
He's such a freaking pro.
Thank you.
Pyro Pete.
That's
Swear
right.
jar.
Thank you, Mr. Beligian. Anyway, but he brought up a good point. In this era of starting pitching, like starting pitching for you and I, Sean, when we go back to like the Jack Morris era, back to Jack Morris era, even further back into the 70s for you and I. Now you got guys being taken out of the games with no hitters in the 6th and 7th inning. Now I'm a big proponent of not trading Skubal for one reason. I'm a huge lover of the power left-handed pitching. And there aren't very many super power left-handed solid arms like Tarek Skubal in Major League Baseball, which ups his value. If this is a right-handed pitcher, I would probably say, yeah, I'll trade him right now, get what you can. Having a left-handed dominant guy like Tarek Skubal is a different story, I think. But to Anson's argument, and also, again, what I'm talking about with the innings limits, to Anson's argument, is Tarek Skubal every 5 days in only 6 innings just as valuable as Jackson Holliday, who's playing 9 innings, hitting 4 times, and all the other prospects? I just think it's an interesting argument. How valuable is the trade talk that we're having going to be different if Tarek Skubal was a right-handed pitcher?
That's a good question. I will also add this to bolster your. I'm not sure that in my lifetime I've seen a better stretch from any Tiger pitcher from what he was the last month and a half through the first half of the season. And JV had some incredible stretches. And Mark the Bird Fidrich, who, I mean, for those of you that are historians, I don't really remember it. It's even a little older than me. Anibal Sanchez, I think people forget. Remember when just K-ing guys left and right? He was phenomenal at the beginning of 2013. Scherzer, Fister. I'm not sure that we've seen a run like this, a continuous run like this out of many pitchers in this time. And oh, by the way, he's a lefty.
He's a lefty.
And 10-3 on a punchless team,
right,
is impressive. I to be honest, I hadn't looked at his win-loss record. I was figuring he's probably more around like 7-4 or 8-5, just because of the Tigers have been so bad. He is a dog. He's amazing. He's the best pitcher in fantasy, so I don't know how good he's been in reality, but. You've made some great points, all three of you guys. And when you put in a record like 10-3 on a team that struggles so bad offensively, even though he's only giving you 6-7 innings once every 5, he's winning games.
He's winning the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, to Pete's point, like if he's only playing every 5 days, but he's like getting you, if the Tigers, like I just looked up here, when they score 2 runs, they're 45-28. So if he's able to just hold the team to like 1 run, I think his ERA is like 2 right now. So if he's able to
41,
so if he's
top
able to
3,
so if he's able to hold those teams to 2 runs, and the Tigers are able to score more than 2 runs, you're basically saying that every time Tarek Scuba's going out there, you're winning the game. So if it's like that, like you can ensure that you have a player that's ensuring you wins, like Jackson Holiday and those other batters, like they would be able to ensure you runs. But if you have a pitcher that's going to be able to like almost ensure you wins, I would kind of still look at that as a little bit more valuable.
I love whip. I openly admit I probably put too much into it. Okay, but
his is like
guess what? When 0.88. When you're not putting guys on base, guess what? I like your chances of winning.
Yep.
Even with an anemic offense like this, if you're not putting people on base, man, I like your chances of winning.
He's second in the league, 0.88.
Yeah.